So I got to do that. Got to get six-pack. But I'm having trouble because of all these curses. They've got it so, I mean, I can't do things normally. Plus, I'm so fat that I'd like to just, okay, I'm just going to, you know, decide, bam, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to knock it off, right? And I could do that, but it doesn't work. Because I'm too out of shape. I can't just bust my ass. Because I damaged myself. Like, I tried, you know, I was running. I was building up running. I got to half mile. Got shin splints so fucking bad I could barely walk. I had to rest my leg. I pushed it and went like 3 or 4 days in a row with the shin splints. I had to lay around for like a week. I could barely fucking walk. So I was like, okay, fuck this. I'll use the bike till I lose down to where I'm not so heavy. And my legs will be stronger. And then I'll be able to run and I won't have shin splints. So I got on the bike and I biked for 20 minutes and then 10 minutes, a couple days in a row, and it wore out my fucking hip and it wore out my knee. Like, same feeling, shin splints almost. It was just kind of worse though. It was like, you know, real, like bright ache, you know. So I had to lay around for another week, you know, so it was even worse. So what I've got to do is build up very little at a time. I'm going to do that some, but not to lose weight. Because I just want to strengthen and get cardiovascular shape. And I'm lifting weights, get strong. Because there may be some enemies coming to, you know, some street thugs. Not punks, but I mean like serious nationwide fist fighter punkers, you know. I don't want to call them punkers, but you know what I mean. People who nationwide get sent to beat people down. Like people who are unafraid and strong fighters. They get these big motherfuckers to come and whoop their ass. And I had one in Anchorage, did that. He surprised me. I mean, he knocked the fuck out of me quick, dude. I mean, he was huge. I've never seen anyone. He was like about the size of, I mean, I've seen a few people bigger, but not many. He was probably the biggest guy I've ever seen, except for student jail, basically. One guy in Lexington detention center in Kentucky. He was like, he looked 6'5" to me. He said he was 6'5", 7'5" is what I mean. He looked 7'5". To me, he said he was 6'11" and a half. But I know he's bigger than that, dude. He was definitely bigger than that, dude. He said he was 6'11" and a half. And he was stout. If he was 6 foot tall, he'd still have been a big motherfucker, you know what I mean? Because he was stout. He had muscle, you know. He wasn't like muscle bound, like huge, like bodybuilder type. But he was sort of. He was real strong though, you know, real big, you know. Like I said, 6 foot, he'd still been considered a big motherfucker. But he was like 7'5". He said he was 6'11" and a half. But I've talked to people since, and the guy who beat me down in Anchorage, real quick, they set me up because I was thinking, you know, Christine is
being out of the way. He's filthy. He's always in everyone's way. I want to see if Mom and Dad get away from me. Yippee.
What are you doing, Amber?
Satan, thou art in offense to us! Get thee hence, Satan, thou art...
That's my sister. She, I don't know, she went crazy because she did it on purpose, though, because she's spiteful. It's like, I got a bunch of charges from the cops. She's been stuck on sibling rivalry since she was a kid. It's the stupidest thing. Because she's brilliant on her own, you know. She's a brilliant artist. Let me show you. I mean, here's one of her paintings, or at least it's a copy of one of her paintings, a photograph. She sold it to a doctor, the real one. You know, she's brilliant, and she's a brilliant writer. She wrote a book and quoted referenced Moby Dick stylistically. You know, that takes skill. You know, it's not like she referenced a plot point or referenced a metaphor. She referenced it stylistically. She used his style of writing, which is pretty advanced sometimes. The best parts of Moby Dick are extremely excellent writing. And she referenced it using that style of writing. She's that good. But when I got arrested by my ex and put in jail, some stuff I didn't do, I couldn't work for 7 years because right afterwards, Obama enacted... right after I got convicted, Obama enacted new law that it was mandatory to have FBI background checks that went back 7 years for every job, even McDonald's and shit. So I couldn't get a job for 7 years. And she took the idea of, my sister took the idea of, well, if you don't have to work, then I don't have to either, and quit her job. She actually said that. Well, if you don't have to work too, then I don't have to either. It was ridiculous. I couldn't work. I wanted to work. I love to work. I love to keep busy and make money and do something, you know? And then, a few years ago, I wrote Poems and Emotions for Audrey Acuna, The Flower of My Soul is Afar. And she read that, and then she leveled with me and had a talk, and she said, so I see you're getting serious. You know, saying it was historical writing and everything, historical quality, and she burned all her books. And she started throwing away some of her paintings. Mom and Dad grabbed them and put them in storage so she wouldn't. And but I'm hoping, I think my mom and dad have copies of her books. I hope so. She worked on it for 10 years. She wrote and nothing else for 10 fucking years. Living in the beach house. And was it 10 years? Yeah, pretty much 10 years. Yeah, that's 10 years. She's been living there, and you know, calling and screaming at mom and dad until they give her money. And you know, so she read that and then started doing this shit. She started making her own clothes, making peasant hats and peasant clothing, and wearing a phylactery. She calls it her armor. And going praise Jesus or God Jesus help save us, because otherwise it's me. She thinks so. So it's just like it's pretty nuts. I mean, I'm all about Jesus Christ, but she's being a hypocrite. You know, she's just doing it to mock me, to say, oh, he's chosen by God, he's the Savior. God save God, you know, Jesus. What? That's instead. You know, she looks at me and says, "That's instead." You know, so you know, now she's calling on Jesus to save us instead of me. So, you know, it's pretty ridiculous. But